Welcome back to the news at 10. In a few months from now, James Hope College, Agbo in Delta State, will be opening its doors to a new set of students in Lagos. The college, which is a co-educational initiative of the Jim Ovia Foundation, has signed a memorandum of understanding for the acquisition of the American International School facility in Lagos. The chairman of the Board of Trustees of James Hope College, Mr. Jim Ovia, hints that 40% of all students admitted into the college will be offered a full scholarship based on merit by September 2020.
From the cocktail to the main event, signaled by the arrival of the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, talks revolve around the importance of education in a nation's development.
Education is very important. When you look at all the issues that we talk about in this country, or in Africa, challenges of health, challenges of poverty, challenges of security, and so on and so forth, you will notice that the only cure is this education.
The chairman, Board of Trustees of James Hope College, Mr. Jim Ovia, explains the decision to replicate James Hope College in Lagos.
What will happen when James Hope College opens its doors to students come September 2020, so less than a year? It will be ready. It's on record that 40% of those who gain admission to James Hope College will receive scholarship from Jim Ovia Foundation.
Ali Safidin is the president of the Board of Directors of American International College. He hints about the acquisition agreement.
We undertook a difficult but necessary decision to sell the land that was previously scheduled to be our high school, whilst remaining dedicated to the idea that the land should be strictly for educational purposes.
Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's presence at the event is indeed a statement of support. He has a word.
We must thank the likes of Jim Ovia Foundation and, of course, James Hope College Board of Trustees for deeming it fit that Lagos must be the very next destination that must have this citadel of education.
With the speeches done, the deal is sealed with signatures. James Hope College joins the large number of privately owned learning institutions in Lagos State, bringing with it high hopes of creating a better and brighter future for the younger generation.
The Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board is leading a conversation on ending corporate gender bias in the oil and gas industry. Now, with a workshop focusing on mainstreaming women in the sector, the board says the sessions are designed to examine the key success factors for female entrepreneurs and CEOs.
Professionals, top executives in the oil and gas sector are weighing ideas, especially on challenges women face climbing the corporate ladder in a male-dominated sector. The executive secretary of NCDMB, who is the brain behind the initiative, gives reasons why he believes more women deserve to sit at the decision-making table.
We have put in place a 10-year strategic roadmap aimed at increasing the local content, Nigerian content level in the oil and gas industry to 70% by the year 2027. I believe that our women have a big role to play in this journey.
Most of the speakers believe women are scarce in technical and field roles.
But we women cannot rest on our oars. We've just got to move on. And if we are going to be 50% of the workforce, as we have been encouraged to be, is in our own purse.
The managing director of the Nigerian Port Authority says women can break the glass ceiling. She shared some tips.
We need to define ourselves around our capacity, our capability, not just because we're women. You should get there for your skills. I always promote that I want to be just an opportunity to be on the table, and I'll do better than the man. I'm not trying to ask for any favors. I just want to be given an equal opportunity.
The head of civil service of the Federation proposes effective implementation of gender-related policy and mentorship as ways women can build a strong force in the industry.
Those of us that are here have been able to overcome that STEM problem. So if each one of us here adopts a young girl and we try to encourage the girl through secondary school, and they in turn look for one or two girls to encourage, within a few years, the men will have to beg us to slow down.
You must build skills to get in.
The conversations continue with panelists sharing experiences and ideas, all geared towards strengthening women participation in the oil and gas industry.
Women, we get too emotional, we don't know where to draw the line.
All right, let's take a look at some business news, and here's Anne Wilder.
You First. First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Ijoma. Welcome to Business News. A total of 693.52 billion naira. That's the amount that's been shared by the 3 tiers of government by the Federation Account Allocation Committee for the month of September. Now, according to a statement from the Office of the Accountants General of the Federation, the amount comprises revenue from value-added tax, exchange gains, and gross statutory revenue. A breakdown of the amount shows that the federal government received 279.98 billion naira from the gross statutory revenue of 599.7 billion naira. States received 142.01 billion naira. Local government councils received 109.48 billion naira, while oil-producing states received 51.41 billion naira as 13% derivation revenue. Meanwhile, a summary of distribution shows that the gross statutory revenue for last month was less by 32.095 billion naira, and that's when you compare it to the 631.7 billion which was received in the previous month. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Mrs. Zainab Ahmed, has been speaking on why the federal government is seeking a $3 billion facility from the World Bank. She says that the funds will be channeled into major reforms in the power sector. The minister, who is leading the federal government's delegation to the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund meetings holding in Washington, D.C., says that she will be holding further discussion with the management of the institution to present how the fund will be disbursed for the project.
So there's a proposed $1.5 to $3 billion US dollars facility for the power sector development program in Nigeria, and this will include development of the transmission networks, development of the distribution networks, as well as removing the challenges that we have now currently within the electricity sector. We are going to have a full meeting to discuss the power sector recovery program. We've been back home, we've been working a great deal together with the World Bank to design how this program will be implemented. So we have an opportunity now to have a direct meeting with the leadership of the bank to tell them this is the plan that we have, and this is how much we need from 1 to 5 years. So the funding could be as much as $3 billion US dollars. We're going to push for it to be provided in phases. Maybe phase 1 will be 1.5, and then phase 2 will be another 1.5.
Let's head to the Nigerian stock market. Sell-offs on Tier 1 banking stocks weigh down on the market sentiment today as the bears maintain dominance in trading at the NSE. Let's get the details from Teniola Shibowali.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Equities performance on the domestic bourse remains negative for a third consecutive session this week as investors extend profit-taking on blue chips across the banking and industrial goods sector of the NSE. The market's main index responded to the fresh round of sell pressure with a slight 0.06% drop, slowly inching towards the 25,000 lower level, while overall value of listed equities slipped further by 8 billion naira today. Thursday's trading session also recorded a slightly negative price performance margin of 8 gainers, led by WAPIC Insurance, which regained 9.37% from Wednesday's losses, while Cornerstone Insurance led 10 other losers, down by 8.11%. Meanwhile, investor appetite for stocks was slightly higher by 5.61 million units compared to the previous session at 144.08 million units in over 2,300 transactions, largely driven by the shares of GT Bank, FBN Holdings, and Fidelity Bank. And that's the stock market report. I'm Teniola Shoboale.
Thank you, Teniola. Strong earnings from Netflix and Morgan Stanley, as well as increasing hope of a Brexit deal, lifted investor sentiment on Wall Street today and some of the European markets. Let's see how they closed at the close of business. And that's Business News tonight. Thank you for watching. The rest of the news at 10 continues now with Ijoma. I'm Anne Mwawudu.
You First. First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Anne. The acting managing director of the Niger Delta Development Commission, Akwagaga Enya, has been speaking on the importance of effective security surveillance in government institutions. Now, she was speaking at a workshop for the NDDC in-house security personnel in Port Harcourt.
The acting managing director of the Niger Delta Development Commission, Dr. Mrs. Akwangaga Enya, arrives at the venue of an internal security training for staff of the organization's security department.
Why do you send the driver to use your car?
The forum aims to highlight important security issues concerning the Commission and the Niger Delta region. Dr. Enya talks about the importance of training staff on physical security as well as information security.
NDDC is committed to marching along with topical security steps through manpower upgrading in skills and professional proficiency. It is expected that at the end of this training, personnel would be abreast with the fundamentals of surveillance, be conversant with tips and procedures, and appropriate how to manage information during surveillance.
The workshop covers training in global best practices in security surveillance and information management, while taking into cognizance the Niger Delta context.
What myself and Mr. OJ are actually doing as the resource persons from Nigeria is to blend what is happening at the global level with local best practices. Because if we have just the expatriate just talking about global best practices, then we'll only be talking about a part of the program. So we needed to also to be able to blend that information on how things are done globally into our local operating environment so that we can give the needed value to the participants.
For participants, this is an opportunity to broaden their horizons and be at par with their contemporaries in other parts of the world.
The training is what we have been needing for a very long time. You see, the training comprises of three things: espionage, physical security, and also technical security. And the one that really concerns us as it relates to NDDC is actually the physical security and also the technical security.
With the theme, Effective Security Surveillance, Report Writing and Information Management, the training promises to end with better equipped security personnel.
What are some of the things we talked
Still ahead on the news at 10, EU and UK negotiating teams agree fresh Brexit deal amid fears of